Warhammer 3 is on the horizon, and with it comes a shift in focus, with chaos becoming the focal point. From what we have seen, it seems we will be able to enter the Chaos Realms, as demonstrated in the Khorne survival battle. But how will we reach the home of the Dark Gods? Will we be able to travel deep into the northern lands on our quest to end the Chaos threat? Will we get to visit the monoliths and fortresses of the Chaos Wastes? Before we delve too deeply into what we might expect, let's take a look at the lore of this terrifying region. Far to the north of the old world, beyond the lands of Kislev and Norska, lays the vast desolate tract of land known as the Chaos Wastes. This inhospitable region is fraught with dangers, from the ferocious beasts that prowl the plains in search of food, to the biting winds that tear at the flesh, and the choking ash that fills the air, seeping from many volcanic fissures that dot the landscape. Perhaps the greatest danger to any who venture so far north are the potent effects of the chaos energies that permeate the region, warping and corrupting reality. The wastes were not always corrupted by chaos. Indeed, long before the dawn of mortal races, when the Old Ones still remained, the Arctic northern lands were a place of pristine beauty. It was the catastrophic failure of the polar warp gate, used by the Old Ones to travel between the stars, that allowed the barrier between dimensions to crumble and the hellish warp of chaos to bleed into the world. Anything touched by the chaotic energies suffered horrific mutations, with the first of the Beastman race being born of this great catastrophe. Further mutations were spread across the globe as warpstone, crystals of pure chaos energy, spewed from the Chaos Realm. The effects of the great catastrophe are still felt to this day, whether it be from the mutations passed down between generations, or the effects from the warpstone that permeates many regions. As inhospitable as they are, the Chaos Wastes are not completely desolate, for several tribes of men, primitive barbarians corrupted by the taint of chaos, eke out an existence there. Perhaps the most feared of these tribes are the Kurgan, nomadic warriors who are as comfortable in the saddle as they are on foot. Their hunting grounds are the largest of any of these savages, stretching far into the eastern steppes, where they are often in conflict with ogre tribes and the warriors of the Hobgoblin Khanate. There are many myths and legends about the Kurgan, most having no basis in reality, but the stories of their savagery and brutality in battle are well founded. They often raid settlements in the northern regions of Kislev, and have even attacked villages within the Empire of Cathay, through the few remaining breaches in the Great Bastion. Those who survive these encounters have borne witness to the ferocity and savagery of the Kurgan, and often compare them to beastkin or demons in human form. Along with the Barbarian Tribes, there are many fortresses filled with vast armies of corrupted warriors and demons, who serve under the banner of the Dark Gods. These armies are in a constant struggle for supremacy, pawns in the great game, where they fight one another at the behest of their gods. These conflicts, which take part on a scale that dwarfs those of the old world, are not fought over resources, or glory as men would understand it, but for the twisted designs of the Chaos Gods. When we look at the Chaos Wastes, there are a great number of places of interest that could be used to flesh out the map. There is the Hill of Bones, 200 miles north of the Sea of Chaos, where an Empire army known as Sigmar's Brave, led by the zealot Regimus, was massacred by a huge Beastman and Kurgan force. Stories are told of how Regimus fled the battlefield, abandoning his men to their fate. The Beastmen feasted on the meat of their vanquished foes to celebrate their victory, and the bones were tossed into a single pile, rising nearly 100 feet into the air. It is said that the souls of the dead now haunt the region, betrayed by their leaders' cowardly actions and by the folly of their crusade. Deeper into the wastes, there is the inevitable city, Built of twisted architecture, the city is cursed, for those who encounter it are forever trapped within, or on the roads that lead to it. The city plays tricks on the mind, appearing tantalizingly close one moment, and then far on the horizon the next. The city has been razed to the ground on numerous occasions, though the evil that permeates the region enables it to rebuild itself. If but a single stone remains, the city will survive. To the east, past the northernmost peak of the Mountains of Morn, there is the stone monolith, known as the Challenge Stone, a place of dark energies which the Barbarian Tribes of Chaos use for their twisted rituals to their deities. This ominous stone is the site of constant conflict between the savage men of the Wastes and the ogres who live on the edge of the mountain range, as both vie for ownership of the monolith and supremacy over the other. While not all named sites on the maps of the Chaos Wastes are worthy of their own battle maps or settlements, many of them, if fleshed out with some lore, could provide for interesting additions. Perhaps areas like the Hill of Bones could have something as simple as reduced morale for human armies close by. The Inevitable City could reduce movement range for any armies that stumble into its influence, and the Challenge Stone could provide bonuses to the ogres or chaos forces that hold the region. Other sites, such as the Howling Citadel, a fortress situated high on a rock formation, with narrow winding pathways leading to its multiple levels, could provide for unique siege maps, where the player would have to approach the battle in different ways based on the environment. The possibilities for map variety within the Chaos Wastes are endless, and I hope that the Creative Assembly has taken the time to represent the unique landscapes and the more interesting fortresses on the Game 3 map. The lack of variety in siege maps in Game 2 has been a bit of a disappointment, with most sieges having a similar layout and only adding a reskin being the norm. While I want more from Game 3, I don't think the variety I desire will be there on launch. So to give us more variety over time, I would like to see Creative Assembly consider an additional aspect to their campaign packs and Lord packs for Game 3. Along with new Lords, units and mechanics, why not release a new unique map for each faction added to the game? Represent their starting location or capital in a way the player base has not seen before. I'm sure the talented artists and designers at Creative Assembly would enjoy the challenge of creating new maps, and the community would surely be ecstatic with the increased variety and tactical opportunities. What are your thoughts on the representation of the Chaos Wastes in Game 3? Do you believe we will have this vast region fully represented? What do you think of the idea of new unique siege maps with each DLC? Would you be willing to pay extra for such an addition? Well, once again, we come to the end of the video. I'd like to thank you for joining me in taking this brief look at the Chaos Wastes. Please take a moment to leave a like or comment, as the engagement will really help the channel, and YouTube will push this video out to more people. As always, I'd like to end the video with a shout out to my patrons. Thanks for the continued support. I am humbled that you choose to help my small channel. A special thanks to Hot Apple Pie, Cody Bonds, Alexander, and Solarith Magnetar. I'm Grey Tiger. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.